For sure.
Yeah.
When I first started creating this, I wanted to give neutrals a little bit more of an insight into the teams that nobody really talks about. Give them a little bit of spotlight because everyone talks about the big teams all the time. No one gives, credit to like smaller clubs like Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Shots fired. Okay. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Futbol Kaki, brought to you by the Chit Podcast Network. I am your host Elder and I'm joined by my fellow Kaki bro and a brand new Kaki bro. Yes, you have seen him on the Diogo Jota video, which was on a very somber note, but today he officially introduces himself to the Futbol Kaki world and the world of Chit Chatter. So please give a warm welcome to Nathaniel, or who we call him? Nat. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Nathaniel Klein.
Nathaniel Klein. Nat Kleiner.
Classic.
All right. So Nat, bro. I think we've come across this because I think we just wanted to add a new fresh face, because it's predominantly me and Paul for about maybe almost 2 years already, right? Just me and you.
Maybe 1.5.
Maybe about there. It's been quite a while. So we were thinking of maybe why don't we just bring in a new face, and I know Nat for work outside lah. We're not going to tell you what we do for work because that is just not the time to do it. But
PDPA.
Yeah, but I remember like Nat, the first time you met, it was kind of like a football conversation for most of it. So I think just to begin off this week, we're going to let you introduce yourself to the world. So please let us know a bit about yourself and how you became a football fan, or like who you support and everything.
Sure. Okay, so hello, Futbol Kaki family. My name is Nathaniel. You can just call me Nat for short. Everyone does. It's easier. I've been a football fan since I can remember, but I've only really like actively started, like digging through the archives and going through, past events and actively watching football after I ORD'd from NS in 2022. Yep. So as you can tell by my background, I'm a avid Liverpool supporter. Of course, I only have like these two jerseys as of right now. But I've been a Liverpool supporter since I can remember. My story is very typical. It's nothing too crazy. I just supported the team my dad supported. Simple as that. I would say favorite footballing memory would be my trip to Anfield.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been to Anfield. I think this was 2007 or 2008. I remember the match. I think it was Anfield, Liverpool, West Bromwich Albion. We won 3-0. The squad still had like Steven Gerrard, Javi Alonso, Fernando Torres, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, that was a pretty good match. Yeah. Favorite player of all time is gonna be a very interesting answer. It's actually Daniel Agger. Yeah,
wait, are you serious? Wait,
this
is the banana kick, bro.
This is a question I have to ask, right? Because most Liverpool fans will say, okay, Steven Gerrard, Fernando Torres, Luis Suarez, like even for Mo Salah. But of all people, right, why Daniel Agger?
This story requires a little bit of context. So when I was a kid, like really getting into this, my favorite player was actually Fernando Torres.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure everyone knows what happened to him after a few seasons at Liverpool. He left to Chelsea. And then I think when Liverpool faced Chelsea at the time, Daniel Agger was in the team, and he just So from that moment, like that won me over. Because like you're still like sore over the feelings of like losing your favorite player. A lot of people's favorite players actually. So the passion he constantly shows for the club, how he constantly still reps the club to this day. Of course, like you never walk alone tattoo on his knuckles. It's really dedication. I think it speaks to like the kind of players that I really like. It's really passionate, determined players willing to fight for the badge, those kinds, and willing to show on the pitch that they're willing to fight for the badge. That's why I think if you're talking about like in the current squad, I think another very left field pick, my favorite Liverpool player at the current moment would be Wataru Endo. True professional.
Japan jersey.
His kind. Yeah. Japan jersey, captain of Japan. Yeah, every time he goes on the pitch, he doesn't complain that he doesn't get minutes. I mean, he understands he's 30 years old. He's not, the kind of player that Arne Slot would like to field onto the pitch. But when he is on, like, he does his job, and he leaves it on the pitch and shows that he's a true professional, willing to do anything for the club. Even after the Premier League was won, he went on, I think it was Japanese media. I'm not sure whether it was like national television or something. He did an interview saying, like the translated quote was, "If Liverpool asked me to leave, ... no." And I lost it at that. I honestly lost it at that. But yeah, so that's a little bit of background on how I became a football fan. And of course, the team I support, which is Liverpool. I do support other teams within other leagues, but as far as I'm concerned, Liverpool is still my main team. So any European competition, I'll always be behind them.
It's like like we all have like our primary club, but we also have like a few other things to support, right? I think like your Daniel Agger story, right, is kind of how I relate to Real Madrid and Sergio Ramos, and why I love Sergio Ramos. Because it's the type of player where it's like, okay, I'm gonna hit you, and you're gonna feel it, and I'm gonna let you know that you're there. I can't remember, right? Was it the one where they tried to, like, Pepe and Ramos tried to jump on play in the middle of the air, like a double kick tackle? One day to his head.
I think I remember seeing that clip. I'm not sure who it was though. It was probably a classical. Was it Suarez?
Paul, do you remember?
Bro, I only remember we were in the middle of the prime Barcelona and Real Madrid rivalry kind of thing, right? Then I even watched the 5-0 El Clasico at like 3 a.m. It's like the score was 5-0, but I still continued watching. So it was like when Messi got the ball, right, this Ramos decided to just like, okay, we already lost the game, right? So I'm just gonna leave something on him. And then he like even went against like his Spanish compatriots, like what Puyol, Xavi. Yeah, that's where he like decided. That's where I realized that playing for Real Madrid meant something more than just winning a game,
Yeah.
That's where he can even fight his own countrymen for the club. I think that is like something that is so admirable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but Sergio Ramos ended up being best friends with Messi at PSG. So
yeah, but they didn't win. They didn't win anything, so
they didn't win anything. I just thought it was a really cute friendship between the two of them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They didn't win anything, but anyway, we are not here to talk about Real Madrid or Liverpool. We are here to talk about football. So welcome to another episode of the Futbol Kaki, brought to you by the Chit Podcast Network. Today, we're going to do another different type of top 5. We've done top 5 best transfers of the off-season so far with Joel from the AOS podcast. We've also done, last week was basically the top 5 controversies of the off-season so far. So today, we're going to do a different top 5, and that is the top 5 football projects to look out for the 2025-2026 season. Yes, right. So 2025 to 2026 season. The list is done by our new Football Kaki bro, Nathaniel. And he has come up with a list of 5 teams that he has, ranked right, bro. It's a ranked list, right?
Yes, I've ranked these based on, how I feel like these projects could possibly turn out and how exciting the prospect these clubs have, to look forward to in the coming season.
Yep. Great. So cool. We look forward to deep diving into this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go from your worst, from the least exciting to the most exciting, correct? Or you're gonna go from the most exciting to the least exciting?
I wouldn't say like least exciting. I mean least exciting within the context of the list, but I still say these 5 teams are like willing, they're worth following and looking out for in the coming season. Eldad has kindly let me like come up with the topic and come up with the list, of course, but I think I would like to challenge myself in this, and I've actually limited myself to 1 team per top 5 leagues in Europe. So that's 1 team from French League, Ligue 1, Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, and I'm forgetting the last one.
La Liga.
Yes, okay.
La Liga.
So okay. I'll be taking 1 team from each league, just so that I don't, it's not all Prem teams, it's not all Ligue 1 teams. So there's a bit of fair division there, and you can pick and choose which projects you want to see happen based on the context.
Yeah. Okay. So I think let's get right into it. So to begin this week's episode of the Football Kaki, what is the first team that you want to talk about?
Okay, so You mentioned that we're not here to talk about Real Madrid. We actually are here to talk about Real Madrid because number 5 on my list is Real Madrid.
Okay, may I ask why?
Okay, so Real Madrid has had a really interesting season last season. Why I say that? Because I'm very happy that this happened. It's their first season trophyless since 09/10.
Oh,
Do you remember that season?
Long?
No one does. Raul was captain. You had Ronaldo. You had Xabi Alonso, but they didn't win anything.
Bro, I remember that season, right?
That was the CR9, is it?
The CR9. That was CR9. no, that wasn't CR9. No, that was CR9. That was CR9. The CR9.
09/10.
Yeah,
Not
09/10 was
010, but
CR9.
like 09/10.
The Ronaldo's first season, lah, right?
Yeah, Ronaldo's first season. That was Ronaldo's first season. That's CR9, right? I remember, right, because Real Madrid had 91 points and they lost the league.
And they still went trophyless. They didn't win anything. They didn't win the Super Copa. They didn't win, So I thought that was really interesting that this, with the signing, with a massive signing in Kylian Mbappe finally coming in, this was their first season going trophyless. And it's not that Kylian Mbappe had a bad season. He had a fantastic season.
Yeah.
But on top of that, like the incoming signings, you have Franco Mastantuono from River Plate coming in. I think he's only coming in after the Club World Cup period ends, so maybe soon-ish. Of course, you have Trent Alexander-Arnold, the Snake. You have Dean Housen, and of course, a very interesting one in Alvaro Carreras, which was a Man United prospect / another Real Madrid prospect that they signed from Benfica, essentially to come in as their I think their full-time left back replacement. During the Club World Cup, we also saw performances from Gonzalo Garcia, Fran Garcia coming from their academy prospects. They have a new manager in Xabi Alonso replacing Carlo Ancelotti, who is I feel like has been Madrid's most successful manager. But also a lot of questions in their current squad, looking at people like Rodrigo Goes, Arda Güler, Endrick. A lot of these people coming into Real Madrid their first few seasons just hit the ground running well. Maybe not for Endrick, but at least for Güler, he showed a lot of prospects. He's this young and already a massive part of his Turkish national team.
Yeah.
So a lot of question marks based on the incoming transfers, based on who's coming out in the academy for these 3 players especially. I'm looking more so at Rodrigo Goes, knowing Liverpool and Arsenal are possibly in for him. Maybe some other Premier League prospects, who knows? We also got to talk about the loss of, I would say, 2 big players for them in Luka Modric and Lucas Vazquez. You may disagree with me on Lucas Vazquez, but he's been there for quite a while. I would say he's still kind of instrumental to the dressing room if he's not, instrumental on the pitch. It's not easy when you sort of lose these experienced players and you need someone to guide them. We also had interesting news in Bellingham being out for half the season due to a shoulder injury. If I'm not wrong, he's going for shoulder surgery, so that's taking him out for half the seasons. Adam Militao and Alaba being constantly injured is not helping their case also. They have 3 centre backs, 3 reliable centre backs in Dean Housen, Rudiger, and who's the new kid? What's his name?
Asensio, right?
Yeah, Asensio. Yes, correct. Sorry. So if one of them goes down, fine, you have 2, but just another injury and it's another crisis at centre back.
That's not a good thing, right? Because of the fact that Xabi Alonso plays a back 3.
Yeah, which is even crazier. Okay, I'm going to go into tactics, but even with these new signings, the centre back depth is not particularly there. If one injury, happens, you're going to be having Tchouaméni play centre back again, which I don't think many Real Madrid fans want to happen. Yeah, so their last game in the Club World Cup, their formation was a 4-3-1-2. Which is actually thought was really interesting because it's not a back 3 this time. Or maybe it is a back 3 with the number 6 coming down and taking a back 3 when the 2 fullbacks fly forward. But it also remains to be seen. Yeah, Leverkusen was known to play a 3-4-3 formation. As we saw with the invincible season from Xabi Alonso. So it's going to be a really interesting time for Real Madrid because the fans are probably expecting a lot from him. They don't want another trophy season because I know that's just not, what Real Madrid was made for in that sense. Yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of incomings, a lot of question marks. We just got to see what happens with this Real Madrid team and see how they move forward with that.
Yep, I agree. Paul, your thoughts?
I totally agree with what he said. I totally forgot they were trophyless last season. So, and the fact that they lost Modric, who was there since I was in secondary school.
Yep.
That was 15 years ago, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, so he was there for 15 years. You lose such a big character. You lose essentially your best manager ever.
Yep.
Apart from Zidane, I feel you adopt a completely new model now, and then you put unproven players into the team, right? Like the centre back Asensio, he committed so many like rookie mistakes in the Club World Cup. He got sent off. He gave I think countless penalties away. Yeah, like what Nat said, I think just one injury crisis to the centre back, right? For it to throw it all away again. Yeah.
And it's interesting because, right, like for me, I look at Real Madrid in a sense where I agree with everything Nat said because it's more or less like your Galacticos are no longer the same Galacticos that you had like a few years ago already. Your Benzema, your Bale is a totally different group. And I think I've said this before, the group is not as cooperative with one another as compared to Benzema, Bale and Ronaldo period because everybody wants to be Ronaldo but nobody wants to be Benzema.
Yeah, this team, right, I feel they don't establish their roles well. Yeah, like you said, everyone wants to be a Ronaldo, but nobody wants to be the supportive function, Especially you see how much they face Rodrigo out now. That he's even contemplating to leave.
Yep.
Yeah, and then but there is a good sign that in terms of the young players are coming up, like Arda Güler,
Yep.
He came when Xabi Alonso came in, straight away he said that I'm keeping him. I'm not gonna speculate any transfer out for him or anything like that. So that's a good sign, actually.
I think I do want to make a counterpoint in that Xabi Alonso is actually still considered a relatively new manager, but the team that he took over from Bayer Leverkusen were on the brink of relegation and he first took over the team. He made 2 important transfers in Granit Xhaka and, if I'm not wrong, Grimaldo also came in that season. Yeah, and next thing you know, they've gone invincible if they won the Bundesliga. So I feel as a counterpoint, if it's any manager that can handle this kind of team, it's Xabi Alonso. Even if it's a completely new system, completely fresh tactics to what they're currently used to. I think if it's anyone can do it, it's Xabi Alonso. And this is coming from someone who despises Real Madrid.
I do agree because Xabi Alonso, right, he has the tactical know-how and the wherewithal. He's done the masterclass and everything, so you can kind of understand. But I think at the end of the day, right, people need to know that Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen are 2 different ball games. It's a big jump to me, in my opinion, because Bundesliga is not La Liga and Real Madrid, the pressure is high. So yeah, I think Real Madrid to open up this list is great. I do think that at the end of the day, it's something that people want to look out for because no matter what, right, Real Madrid will always be a big talking point. So the first one is Real Madrid. Nat, what is team number 2 on your list?
Okay, actually, it's team number 4. But yes, the second team or the 4th team on this list will be Como 1982. I think it's 1982, but otherwise, Como from Serie A.
Como 1907, bro.
1907. Oh, sorry, that's my bad. I should have written down the number.
Como 1907. Como 1907. Cesc Fabregas is the manager, right, for this club.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so some context. I think this one is more. The more interesting part for this team is actually what's going on around the team rather than what's on the field. So just to give you a background and give you some context on the stuff surrounding the club. Cesc Fabregas is the current manager. He's got them promoted from Serie B to Serie A. Possession-based football, attacking through the center, rotating midfield, free-flowing players. I think it's going to be a very interesting team to watch, especially his style of play, Cesc Fabregas. Overall, they overperformed in their first season back at the Serie A. They were in a relegation scrap at the beginning of the season, but overall, they've ended up finishing 10th in the first season back in the Serie A.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, AC Milan finished 8th, so they're actually not too far off from these European spots. So, some further background because not many people know about the project surrounding Como. They actually have the richest owners in the Serie A. If you didn't know that,
rich?
Pretty damn rich. They're owned by the Jarum Group, which is an Indonesian media conglomerate. They pretty much run the broadcast all the way back in Indonesia. And comparatively, they're actually the richest owners in the Serie A. But interestingly enough, you also have minority stakeholders owned by Thierry Henry and Cesc Fabregas, which I thought was really interesting. The manager has a minority stakeholder in the club. Does that motivate him to perform better? Who knows? Probably so, yeah. Not a lot of people are keeping eyes on Como this transfer window actually, but their expenditure for a club of their size has been huge. As of right now, at the time of recording, they spent actually over 101.5 million euros in the transfer window. And no one's saying anything about it. It's quite crazy to me, a club this size, going all out like that. And it's not spending on like big name transfers or like high wage transfers. These are actually pretty smart transfers going in. But in previous seasons, they've had a very interesting recruitment style in recruiting, proven older players. A style which actually we've seen a lot of like relegation fodder in the Prem try to pull off, to try and like survive. But this club actually survived, so maybe there's something going on there. So older players such as Pepe Reina, holy shit, man, Pepe Reina, Dele Alli, and Alberto Moreno to help them keep afloat and actually get them back into Serie B. I mean, this was Pepe Reina's last season, so it's going to be interesting to see how they replace him, because I feel he was like quite a key part in keeping them afloat. So I feel like Como could be, almost like the Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford type of situation in the Serie B, where their recruitment has saved them from relegation and actually gotten them, 10th place. So next season, considering such big losses and such big backing, they spend so much in the transfer window this time. Are they able to keep their spot in the Serie A going forward? Can it save them from relegation this time? And on the flip side of the coin, can they possibly be pushing for European spots? Because up to the last minute, AC Milan were, but they ended up 8th. This club is not too far from AC Milan. What's stopping them, from ending up like Brighton and pushing for European spots? So I think Como deserves a spot on this list, despite being the least well-known club on the list by far.
Yeah, I understand. Paul, your thoughts?
Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the team that Varane went to, right?
Yes, Varane actually went
when they cancelled his contract because he got injured.
He got injured. Yes, correct. This was the team.
So I think it was quite funny. Like, that's the way I found out about this club when Varane went there, and that Fabregas was the manager.
Yep.
And then also I think now they have the Velotti, if I'm not wrong, as a striker.
Yes.
Oh, but he's moving out. I think.
He's an outgoing transfer.
Yeah. So funny enough, I didn't really know much about this team until that Varane incident. And then now I'm hearing that they are in Serie A, so I guess I have to pay more attention to it.
Yeah, no.
I think
they were there since like last season, right? Actually.
No, this was actually like 24-25 is their first season back in the Serie A. Yeah. But they've owned the team, I think, if I'm not wrong, since 2021 or 2020, around the COVID period.
Yeah, so I think like the fact that Fabregas is a stakeholder
and also the manager,
and he's the manager, so I think he gives off a very like a Toto Wolff kind of thing, right? He has sticks in Mercedes, but he's actually the principal driving it, so I think it's pretty cool. I think he himself wants the club to do well, Fabregas.
Yep. I think like for me, it's more to do with like the fact that they're so under the radar that they might just pop out of nowhere, that people don't really bother or think about them. And the thing is that they're not very well marketed, in a sense where, let's say for example, right, like during 2021, 2020, right, the team that was taken over, that took over by Storm was like, Wrexham lah, because Ryan Reynolds and Michael Henney took over. But the thing is that in that period of time, Wrexham has been so publicly advertised with all their documentaries and everything, right? But Como's just been under the radar. And it's like, how do we get better? How do we get better? How do we get
You know why?
into, like,
they don't need to. They don't need to be marketed. There's a very big difference between Como and Wrexham. So the thing is, Wrexham is not a tourist destination. So they need all the chips to rely on whatever they can to drive.
Como is a
tourist destination. It's one of the most popular tourist destinations in Italy. So a lot of the income actually is supported by surrounding, like, tourism drives, and which help support the football club.
Even so, people won't know who they are, because in Italy, everybody only knows the big 4 or big 5. Everybody
unless
knows
you're local, right?
Yeah, unless you're local from that. So it's like everybody knows is Inter, Lazio, Roma, Milan,
Juve,
Fiorentina. And Napoli lah. So the 6 or 7. So now I think having Como inside, right, and it's interesting. I don't really have much to say about this, because I wasn't really aware of more heavily.
It's a break from the status quo, like its position on my list, I guess. It's not really a club people are looking out for, but they're making massive moves, and I think it's a project really worth looking out for, especially if you want a little underdog story, like trying to disrupt the status quo of the Serie A table, So
I think this is a good pick. So with that, Como is number 4 according to Ned, because he's moving in descending order.
Yes, sir.
I'm too used to it. I'm too used to an ascending order. So this one I cannot get it wrong because it is the middle. So Ned, what is team number 3?
Team number 3 was the team I had the hardest time choosing. It is the Bundesliga representation, and it is Bayer Leverkusen. So, yeah, interesting because you're both are Man United fans, and they've been taken over by Erik ten Hag, your favorite manager of all time. I still remember texting you on the day he got sacked. Erik ten Hag got sacked, Eldet. Your dream has finally come true.
I was like, yes.
But yeah,
I made it I was very happy on the day he got sacked. I think Paul was also.
Bro, I remember the exact moment I saw he got sacked. I was sitting in a lake in Austria with my girlfriend. We were eating we're having a short break because we were hiking, right?
Yeah.
Then I was eating this the pretzel. Then I saw the news by Romano, official statement he got sacked. I stood up, I jumped around, around the lake. I was like, finally, because the day before, right, was the loss against West Ham.
Yeah.
I was like, no way he survives this. But then again, I think Man U will just keep him.
Then Paul texted me also. He was like, bro, nothing gonna happen. Right?
Yeah.
I tell you,
actually, quite a funny story. Like, I don't know why they chose to appoint him. Actually, this Bayer Leverkusen.
I got no idea. But before you go on, right? Erik ten Hag, can you please take Onana? Please.
Bro, he cannot. He just bought a new.
Okay. So let me get into
Onana
it.
as your number 2. Number 2. Flecken is also not stay great also.
Use the words money and buy Anthony and Onana.
Okay.
Buy Anthony and Onana, you got the funding.
So, Bayer Leverkusen, loss of a manager in Xabi Alonso, who we've now talked about, has gone to Real Madrid. Recruitment of Erik ten Hag. A lot of musical chairs happening here. Loss of players in Jonathan Tah, who has gone to Bayern. And of course, there are 2 star players, Jeremy Frimpong and Florian Wirtz, who have gone to Liverpool. Recruitment of Gerard Konza, assumingly to replace Jonathan Tah. Mark Flecken as a number 2 goalkeeper, or who knows how Erik ten Hag wants to play Mark Flecken. But I think the most interesting recruitment and the one to watch out for is Malik Tillman, because that's Florian Wirtz's replacement. So Malik Tillman, I think, if I'm not wrong, he represents the US men's national team. He's the one to watch because he's come from the Eredivisie. He's played 54 games. But interesting stats in those 54 games, he scored 21 goals and 12 assists. I think those are pretty crazy numbers even for the Eredivisie. So they might be onto something here, trying to replace Florian Wirtz with this man. But remains to be seen. Can the recruitment save them this time? Can they keep, their spot as like the one to challenge Bayern for the title? Because Dortmund are not going to get there anytime soon. Yeah, then there's also links for other players to move away. There's a possibility of Hincapié being poached. There's links between Granit Xhaka and Sunderland. Can you believe it?
Oh.
Yeah. So, finishing second last season, it's a very big question mark on whether they can keep up the form. On top of that, they had a super disappointing Champions League run last season. They were knocked out in the round of 32 to Bayern. And as of the time of writing this, I think 2 days ago, they just lost 5-1 to Flamengo in the friendly.
Side note, right? From what I saw, he played a lot under 18s. I'm not defending Erik ten Hag, but I did laugh when the scoreline was 5-1. It's like there's nothing. It's like basically he took his Man United curse over to Bayer Leverkusen. So I mean, like before I say anything, right? Like I feel like Bayer Leverkusen that we know for the past few years, is not the same because the fact that they lost Frimpong and they lost Wirtz in the same window to the same team.
And their manager.
So can people really say that Ten Hag is better than Xabi Alonso? We don't know. Because he's never managed in Bundesliga yet. Yeah. So that is something that I think we have to say. But I think I will give him benefit of doubt, right? Because of the fact that he didn't really use his first team in the first preseason game. Yeah, against Flamengo. So yeah, Paul, your thoughts?
I just want to get a record straight. It was the Flamengo's under 20s.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the Flamengo.
I laughed there. I literally laughed. Okay, I don't know whether this Erik ten Hag, is he just unlucky or is he just like that? For the second time he entered a club, right, he had to do like cleanup. It's starting to become a pattern, the players that he buys, either from the Eredivisie or they are Dutch. So Mark Flecken was the keeper from Brentford.
Yep.
But it was a second choice keeper, right? Flecken wasn't the starting keeper, right?
He was.
He was.
After Raya was the...
Called Raya left already.
Raya left, Mark Flecken took the number 1 spot.
Yeah, but if you see the first goal that he considered, right,
Yeah.
Bro,
No,
this spells
no.
of banana, man.
Flecken is
Yeah.
known for the stupid goal where he was standing frozen at the back of the goal, then the guy tapped in. What? Remember that meme goal that happened in the Bundesliga, the one where
Correct.
he turned around and he stand there. He's that
Yeah,
goalkeeper.
So when this game against Flamengo, that guy shoot right, he acted as if the ball went out. But it slid into the side corner, you know.
Yep.
So maybe just haven't adapt the game, or I don't know what he was maybe daydreaming.
I mean, like he's not a great goalkeeper, lah. I mean, you can basically obviously see that just basically based on position, Brentford kind of dropped once they let go Raya to Arsenal, and then Flecken came over, right? Then the goalkeeping just went down.
Yeah, but I think it's not a bad deal for Brentford lah to sell two keepers for like, I think Raya was 40 million and he for 10 million, so about 40 million. Yeah, so
and who they got was better also.
Yeah, I think interesting to see Ten Hag in Bundesliga, because I think at one point Bayern Munich tried to poach him like before Man United lah. So hopefully he can exhibit some of his playing style before Man United lah. It's just that I feel that now his image is very tainted because of Man United.
I will say this in that it's not all gloom and doom. Yes, Mark Flecken and Malik Tillman are very much Erik Ten Hag signings, but there is possibly still a good recruitment team behind him, giving him recommendations, which has led to the signing of Jarell Konza, which is very much not a Ten Hag signing.
He's a Dutch, right?
No, Jarell Konza is English. He's English. He came from our Liverpool academy. So I think that's a very interesting signing that they've taken on, and actually like Liverpool have given them like a buyback clause in 2027 if we were to buy him back. So we'll just have to see how it goes. The window's not closed yet, so a lot of things can change. Plus, this was just a preseason friendly. Preseason friendlies most of the time they don't mean anything. I think with all the uncertainty, it is still a very fascinating project to watch because we want to see how they perform under this kind of pressure. Going from like almost getting a treble in the Bundesliga to practically winning nothing, like crashing out to Arminia Bielefeld in the cup runs in the Bundesliga. So we just have to see how it goes from here.
Yep. I agree. I think like we can't make our predictions regarding Ten Hag because we don't know what Ten Hag gonna bring, because he was a hot prospect and then 3 years at Man United just basically ruined him lah. So I'm not gonna talk about Erik Ten Hag anymore because it hurts me to talk about him. It's still a very hard and painful memory. So moving on to number 2.
Number 2 is my Premier League candidate, and that is Crystal Palace, which I'm actually quite excited to talk about. Europa League winning manager Oliver Glasner still at the reins. He won it with Eintracht Frankfurt of all teams. So I think they've gotten their recruitment in that sense pretty on the ball. Europa League, winning manager. His football style is pretty impressive. High pressing, counter-attacking football. Perfect for these kind of things. Teams like Crystal Palace. Emphasis on physicality, a lot of winning the ball back, and somewhat of a tactical flexibility, which I think has kept him afloat and obviously kept his job. Interestingly enough, won their first trophy in the FA Cup despite losing star player Michael Olise last season. I thought that was a really interesting run at like upsetting Man City in the final for them to be able to get the FA Cup, their first trophy since their club even began. But can lightning strike twice? Eberechi, Eze and Mark Guehi's future are called into question. Eze can possibly go to Spurs. Guehi, Liverpool have been linked with him also. If they can successfully adapt to losing a star player, could they also adapt to losing number 2, number 3? There's also a possibility they lose number 4 in Adam Wharton, which was a DM signed from Blackburn Rovers last season and helped them stay afloat. Interesting enough, despite winning the FA Cup, they've lost their Europa League spot and now in the Conference League. But that could be a good thing for them. Will they adapt better now that they're in a competition of quote-unquote lower quality? Then another thing is because they're in Europe now, a lot of teams, first times in Europe are usually, kind of not disasters, but they don't do as well as they should. Do they have the squad depth to adapt to the additional games in European competitions? And then once that's been, once the answer to that has been given, will they prioritize European competitions now? Will they pull a West Ham and go all in the Conference League while tanking their Premier League status? West Ham was in a relegation battle when that happened. You know, there was a very real possibility of them going down, but they didn't. Do they think they have a shot at competing for that Conference League trophy, or will they completely fumble like Brighton years ago? They completely shit the bed against Roma, and they didn't particularly finish in a very well Premier League spot. I think they finished 10th also during that season. So yeah, a lot of questions, a lot of question marks surrounding Crystal Palace and their European status, Premier League status as well. So I think they're gonna be the team to watch this season in the Premier League. I'm not gonna lie, I'm curious to see how this story is gonna play out.
Understand. I do think also because of the incident that happened with the dual ownership and they missing out Europa, even though they earned it, is also quite sad. Paul, your thoughts? Crystal Palace?
Yeah, I was going to mention the manager, so the Oliver Glasner, right? There's a certain way they changed their gameplay ever since he came in, and then they're more direct, more high pressing. The players that they keep...
Look, man, let's be real. Anything is an upgrade from Roy Hodgson. Anything is an upgrade from Roy Hodgson.
Standing in manager, yeah. But if you actually look at their players, right, the core is pretty much the same every year.
Yeah.
But they have like rising stars in this Jean-Philippe Mateta. Right? There's a I don't know why no teams are going for him. Mateta and the other guy from Brentford, Wissa, right? Both are like proven.
Oh,
actually,
Newcastle have recently been linked with Wissa after failing to sign
Wissa. Yeah, so I think instead of Gyökeres this, Sesko that, I think they should be looking at players like Jean-Philippe Mateta,
Yeah.
For Crystal Palace to like what he said when they are in the Conference League rather than the Europa League, it may be a competition much more suited to them. I think if they go Europa, they might drown because there are a lot of big names there actually. Yeah. And they don't seem like they have the depth to compete in Europe. And
I think the fact that there's no drop down also helps their case a lot in the Conference League. Like we saw how well Chelsea just like walked the competition because there was no like drop downs from the Europa or anything like that. They were alone.
There's no Sevilla that will come in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think very good point. Adam Wharton also, I think he made his England debut a few like last year. So I think quite an interesting team to see. See who they sign.
Yep.
They're always known to like upset many big teams. So I think.
Yep. But for me, I do think that with Crystal Palace, right, the biggest issue for me is that there's a higher chance of players going out than there are players coming in. Like you mentioned, so like Eze, Adam Wharton, right? It's what happens if they actually do lose them, or like a bid comes down. Let's say, for example, with Eze, right? Somebody comes in with a 50 to 60 million pound bid for them. Crystal Palace is not gonna say no, because it's still a big value for a player. Right? That 60 million could get them a lot of things in the future, even though you lose a star. So it's kind of like 60 million means more to them than it would for Chelsea, who sold Madueke to Arsenal. That scenario lah. So I mean that's what I think. Ned, you got anything else you want to add before I move over to the last one?
Yeah, look, there's a very valid point that y'all brought up in that they're possibly losing number 2, number 3. But the thing is, they've done it before. They've lost Michael Olise, and they've gone on to have probably the best season in their history in their first ever trophy. That's crazy to think about. They just had to sacrifice the star boy and Michael Olise in order to obtain that. So who's to say that recruitment is not doing a good job in that if they lose number 2, number 3, possibly even number 4, who's to say that their recruitment is not going to find someone. Like before all of that happened, like in the 23-24 season, like who the hell had even heard of Adam Wharton from Blackburn Rovers? He was championship fodder. Their recruitment was crazy enough to take that chance on a 10 million to 12 million, however much they paid Blackburn for this Adam Wharton kid. And he absolutely walked everyone. I still remember that 1-0 loss to Crystal Palace at Anfield, and this man was just everywhere. It was like watching N'Golo Kante all over again. Like with the markets for number 6s are these days, like this man is easily a £100 million transfer if a Premier League team wants to buy them. Let's not talk about like overseas teams. They'll probably sell him for less, but English tax, he's probably going for at least £100 million. So
I agree.
So who's to say their recruitment is not doing a good job and that they can't replace Eberechi as a Mark Gahey if push comes to shove. So that's all I have to say.
No, I think that's fine, because the thing is that with teams like smaller clubs, right, the moment you lose stars to bigger teams, right, you always have a certain template or replacement plan in plan. So let's we can go into all the hypotheticals, but I think let's just wait and see what happens over the next few weeks because the window's not closed yet.
Yeah, for sure.
See whether they want to sell.
I mean, these are the teams that you kind of have to watch out for. And that's why we have this list. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, so to close off this list, what is number one? Net.
Number one is our Ligue 1 representative. No, it's not PSG. It is AS Monaco. Another really under the radar team happening last season. I don't have as much to talk about them because I'm not an avid Ligue 1 supporter. But I will say their project has been very interesting so far.
Yeah.
So far, they finished third in Ligue 1, securing the last Champions League spot for the French league. I think, they only have 3 representatives, so they've secured the last one. But in my opinion, I feel like this is the best AS Monaco team they've had so far since the 16-17 season where they won the league. They had Mbappe, Fabinho, Bernardo Silva, Thomas Lemar, Benjamin Mendy, Radamel Falcao. It's crazy. That's probably the best because they won the league. PSG went for Mbappe after that. But the transfer business, I would say, has been exciting so far, which is why I want to talk about it. So, incomings, the 3 incomings are all 3 failed wonder kids in Paul Pogba, Eric Dyer, and Ansu Fati.
Yeah.
If that list is not enough to make you go, wow, what the hell is going on? So with the additions of these transfers, right, you have Eric Dyer at the back, you have Paul Pogba somewhere in midfield, he can play in the 10 or 6 row, but their front 3 is the most exciting so far to me.
Yeah.
So Ansu Fati coming in, you have him on the left wing. On the right wing, you have Takumi Minamino, failed RB Salzburg kid, came to Liverpool, didn't do much, sold him to Monaco. He didn't do much for his first season, but he exploded in his second season, and he did pretty well in his third season. I'm more focused on the storylines here, especially Pogba's one. This is essentially Pogba's last chance at football.
Redemption.
It's his redemption arc. He's coming off a drug ban. His biggest criticism before all of that was his attitude towards football. So what's not to say he's learned from all of this and he's matured from all of it? Are we about to see the best version of Pogba? Possibly. Who knows? Ansu Fati has everything to prove. Not doing well at Barcelona, not doing well at his Brighton loan. He wasn't great, but as slower paced league like Ligue 1, is there a possibility, Barcelona may have made a mistake in letting him go? I mean, it's only a loan deal, it's not a permanent sale, but who's to say they won't make it permanent? It's a lot of question marks. But Eric Dyer, sort of a Spurs flop, didn't do much at Spurs. But at one point, he was Bayern's best defender, which was crazy to me, especially that 23-24 Champions League run. Wow. That game against Arsenal, I'll never forget his performance. Goodness. Coming into the twilight years of his careers, let's see how his time at AS Monaco goes. And of course, as I mentioned, Takumi Minamino on the right wing is lining up to be failed Wonder Kids FC. I think it's a really interesting project that not a lot of people are having their eyes on, honestly. It's really one of the best AS Monaco teams I've seen in a while, and that's talking. That's really saying something. I think the recruitment has always been spot on, even if the results on the pitch haven't shown so. They have a great track record in their recruitment. So I want to see how this goes. If they're willing to take a risk on Paul Pogba and Ansu Fati, who's to say they're not gonna maybe win the league against favorites Paris Saint-Germain? I could be wrong lah. Paris Saint-Germain are most likely going to win the league again, but who's to say this won't be the deepest Champions League run in a while?
I'm gonna say this, right? There's no way they're beating PSG because this PSG team is just different. It's a different PSG.
Let me tell you that stranger things have happened.
It's just a different PSG, but then again, PSG did choke in the Club World Cup final.
Exactly, they choked to Chelsea.
I'm not gonna retract any of my statements. So I'm just gonna leave it and see and say what will be. So, Paul, any thoughts?
My name is Paul and I'm wearing the France jersey, right? Yeah, so I have to talk about Paul Pogba. But like what Nate said, I think actually it's interesting to see Pogba out coming back after so long. And then ever since he left United, his career has actually went downhill.
Yeah.
So now you took away the things that he was so comfortable with, being at a top club, playing for the national team, earning a lucrative salary at the time, right?
Yeah.
Now all 3 are gone. You're playing for a lower team in the French league. You are earning 40,000 a week only. And then is this your redemption with one more year to the World Cup, right? Can you break back into Didier Deschamps' like French team? So you have to go on an insane one-year run.
We have to take note also that this will be Didier Deschamps' last World Cup, so he wants to go out with a bang. So he's not going to be light with his team selection. So
and he's already won the World Cup with Deschamps once. So the map is there already. In order to play for the French team, you need to be at some level lah. You have to give Deschamps a reason for him to pick you. So yeah, I think Monaco's highlight is like re-signing Pogba for like quite a good deal. It's just that maybe him being out for 1.5 years, we will see whether that has taken an effect or not lah.
For sure.
Yep. Okay. I think with Monaco, for me, it's interesting because when I saw that, I was like, okay, it's like I said, they're failed wonder kids, right? But these wonder kids can actually still do something with the football.
They have talent.
They have talent. It's just that they didn't meet the expectations of many people over time, right? But if let's say they were able to do something, I'm also not gonna say that they're not gonna be able to possibly upset PSG inside League One, or maybe go deep in the Champions League. So we won't know. Right now, all of these things are, of course, we have to wait and see, because these are the things that we call the exciting top 5 football projects to look out for the year. So to finish off this episode, we're just going to do a quick recap. So from descending order from 5th to 1st. 5th is Real Madrid, 4th is Como, 3rd is Bayer Leverkusen, 2nd is Crystal Palace, and number 1 project to watch out for in the 25-26 season is Monaco. So with that,
you want to do some honorable mentions?
Oh yeah. Okay, maybe let's just do quick ones. Don't need to go really
for sure.
It, right?
I don't plan to go. Right? So honorable mentions are also kept to one per league. The Premier League representative here will be Nottingham Forest. Serie A will be Napoli. Germany, Dortmund. Spain is actually went with Real Betis, and Ligue 1 I went with PSG. It was a boring choice, but with PSG, I just want to see how it goes from here. They've won the Champions League. They've pretty much completed football in one season. Let's see where they go from here with their recruitment, because they've done a lot of that, and see who leaves, who gets the scraps. Real Betis had a great season. They went pretty deep in the Conference League, but ultimately couldn't seal the trophy. With Dortmund, they've made an interesting signing in Job Bellingham, younger brother of Jude Bellingham, but otherwise they've been pretty quiet in the transfer window so far. They were 8th in the Bundesliga at one point until they sacked their manager Nuri Sahin. But now they're back in 4th, somehow making Champions League again. What is it with Dortmund, man? Napoli, Antonio Conte, will the second season curse continue? He's still got his team, Lukaku, McTominay, another failed wonder kid. So we are going to see how second season Conte performs at Napoli, especially since we thought he was supposed to leave for Juve, but he's staying. And lastly, in Nottingham Forest, they're starting to lose a lot of star players. So I want to see how they adapt next season, especially considering at the beginning of last season, we thought they were the team to possibly get in a relegation scrap. But no, they've gotten European football. So how's that going to work? Almost the same situation as Palace, but I feel Palace is a little bit more interesting to talk about.
Yep. Okay, so I think overall, this is a very good list. There's a lot of things that we can actually look out for. So I don't really disagree with anything on this list. Paul, any thoughts on this list?
I think it's it's a very good, interesting insight. Apart from the big ones, we always, whenever we see a league, we always look at the team's favorites to win it. So like Barcelona, Liverpool, PSG, and all this. I think it's good to talk about the other teams that we don't really have so much focus on.
For sure. When I first started creating this list, I wanted to give neutrals a little bit more of an insight into the teams that nobody really talks about. Give them a little bit of spotlight, because everyone talks about the big teams all the time. No one gives, credit to smaller clubs like Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Shots fired. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of this week's episode of the Futbol Kaki. So that is it for this week's episode of the Futbol Kaki, brought to you by the Chit Podcast Network. Now, for those of you who are tuning in, we just want to say thank you, and we hope that you continue to watch our other shows on the network, which are the Copy Bros Every Monday, where we have fun interviews lined up for you. And if you do like game shows, we do have the SG Draft podcast every Friday. We come together and draft about different topics and have fun while we do it. You can actually go and vote for your favorite teams every Friday on our Instagram story. So go over. Voting begins at Friday 12 p.m. and closes on Saturday at 12 p.m. You can have the power to vote. for who wins, basically the draft. So with that, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Futbol Kaki. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Chit Chatter Podcast Network here on YouTube, and you can find us on our socials in the description below. So, before we go, Ned, how was your first episode? Did you have fun?
A lot of fun, actually. I'm looking forward to do more of these, especially once the season begins. And have our thoughts. So, look forward to the predictions. We'll see how it goes.
Just to be fair, right? Futbol Kaki has not had a great record on predictions in the past, like 6 months.
I'm here to change that. You're
here to change that. Maybe me and Paul will remain the same and just get everything wrong. So with that, thank you everybody for listening in. Have a great week ahead. The preseason is going to start soon. For football, it's kind of back already, even though it never left because of the World Cup. But the Premier League season starting soon. Preseason starting soon. So everybody look forward to football. Have a great week ahead. See you next week. Bye bye.